Got an incredibly fine individual who wants to serve his community. Who, frankly, I remember my good friend Jack Kemp, God rest his soul. Jack had a wonderful expression. David and I have talked about this over the years. Jack once said to me, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So it's not about throwing out a bunch of degrees. It's not about telling everybody I'm a successful lawyer. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's about I've been involved in my community for decades. My father was involved in the community for decades. The apple doesn't fall from the tree. I mean, I looked at David's career and I'm thinking, boy, I tell you what, the icon that helped shape him and form him and develop that value system was his dad. I felt a kinship with you when you're talking about the same father. Your commitment to service in your broader community, not only the Asian American community, but the Philadelphia community as Legion. You were reaching out to provide services to the underprivileged and disadvantaged legally before you were assistant DA, while you were assistant DA, since that time. So it takes a special person, I think, who's willing to take on the role and responsibility of local government. It's a tough job, where the rubber meets the road. I've often thought that the folks in Washington, and I can say this because I was there for 12 years, they don't quite get it. It's the states and the local elected officials that actually see the customers. We actually see the people in need. We see the people that pay taxes. You run them into going to church, or run them going to walking down the street, going into the office building. And so I think his endorsement by the Republican Committee certainly got me here, but my friendship with him would have gotten me here anyhow. David is, I think, the kind of man that Bob Asher so effectively pointed out and personally pointed out. Great faith in his community. Great belief in his ability to make a difference. With that, he brings an enthusiasm, an intellect, an energy, and a commitment to service. Frankly, that I think has been demonstrated by the fact that this is the third time he's put his name before the voters. You know, and I don't think you run away from that. By the way, I think someone once told me that Abraham Lincoln lost about 6 or 7 elections before he won his first one. So I'm not announcing your candidate for presidency. You still have a couple more to get through. But the bottom line is I think that not only speaks to resilience, but also a commitment and a will to serve. Commitment and a will to serve. So it's a great pleasure to introduce to you with your help. And by the way, let me put a plug in here. This is a turnout election. You know, long before I got into politics, I was involved in grassroots politics. You know what's going to make the difference? Your vote's going to make the difference. You partnered with your treasurer to be here tonight. That makes a difference. But you know what you got to do on election day? You got to get people to the polls. We know turnout's going to be fairly low. And whatever you can do, your family, your friends, your coworkers, if you got to take them to the polls, take them to the polls. If you believe in David, you believe in taking a little extra time to serve him in that capacity. And you do that, you will be well served with his energy, his leadership, and his integrity on City Council. So it's a great pleasure for me to introduce to people to whom he needs no introduction, but since I'm his brother, that's what I've been asked to do. David O. David.